Howdy everybody, we are back, UniTV Live. We're going live daily and we're super pumped because we've got a very special guest. If we haven't met, just in case, my name is Yanni Burmeister. To my right is my fabulous, fantastic brother Rad Burmeister, and to my left is our special guest today, who is a tribe member of Unity Gym. She's super special, Sheila Tan, and she's here. She's going to be sharing a little bit of her experiences on movement and her movement journey. We're also going to be talking, answering a few questions for our online tribe, our movement mastermind, and talking a little bit about mindset hacking and motivation and how we all plan to stay motivated in 2019. All that and more coming up. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image. All right, so first of all, Rad, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, good, man.
Yeah?
It's Friday.
The man.
Friday, bitches.
Woo!
Happy
Woo!
Friday.
How are you feeling, Sheila?
Good, really good. I got the day off work, so I'm really stoked.
What? How'd you do that?
Lucky me. I study on Fridays, so yeah, I asked the boss for day off.
Yeah, cool. What are you studying again? You're doing this sales thing, is that right?
Yeah, studying sales. I want to get into a career change.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds very exciting. It's something that I think everyone needs to know how to do. We're all salespeople. Even I'm a salesman, even the most when I'm talking to my children nowadays, because you're pitching concepts on a daily basis. All right, cool. So what we'll start off with, really, Rad's got a few questions that you wanted to ask.
Oh, look, I just wanted to share with our viewers, just, you know, Sheila, your journey. You've been a member of Unity Gym for how long now?
15 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I still remember the first chat that we had when you came in.
Me too. Yeah.
And you found out about us because you were like looking into Ido Portal and his stuff,
Yes.
and that led you to our gym, is that right?
Yeah, so I follow movement culture, and I remember watching an interview with Ido, and I was just blown away. And I thought, if I find people in Sydney who train like this, I will join. And yeah, that was like a few years back, and it's just really hard to find people who follow that that concept or that culture. And when I moved to North Sydney for a new job, I decided, okay, I'm going to commit to my fitness. Because I'd been training on and off at typical gyms, you know, like Fitness First and everything, and I would never go for like months at a time, and I never really liked it. But yeah, I started following this whole online scene about movement and flexibility and mobility, and it was yeah, it was really interesting to me, and I thought, oh, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So as soon as I found like a list of gyms in the area, and then I found you guys, I was like, oh, I have to check it out. Yeah, and then as soon as Rad mentioned that he actually, you were mentored by Ido?
I wouldn't say mentored, I was trained by him a couple of times. I did a few of his workshops, but it wasn't just that I was mentored by him. He had the biggest impact on my physical development and on the evolution of the way that I train that anybody's had in over a decade, probably even in 2 decades. And so I did train with him twice over 2 workshops, and then I became very obsessed with that kind of culture and that training, and there's so much great stuff online, and at Yanni and mine and Richard's level of development, we can learn a lot more than the average person through online stuff. It takes quite a while before you can really learn some good stuff without having a coach that coaches you through a program. So yeah, it's had a massive influence on what we do here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and when you mentioned that, I was like, yep, I'm in. I'm signing up.
Yeah, awesome.
I want to nail down on one thing you said there, because I think this is important for the viewers to hear. You said when you were a member of the mainstream gyms, you would sometimes not go for like months at a time, okay? And this is something that I think happens to a lot of people. I mean, the big franchise gym chains rely on it because they sell thousands of memberships, and there's absolutely no way they could ever house thousands of people. So their business model is, in its essence, designed for people to break the system, to not come, you know. Now, what do you think it was? Because you're consistent as all buggery here. You come at least 4, if not 5 times a week. which all of our members are encouraged to do. What do you think the big difference is? I mean, there's the obvious, and I know the obvious answer is because I really like the movement philosophy. But this is something that Rad and I are really now honing down on. This is why we've incorporated skill-based training as a major component of our program, because we know the benefits on a cognitive level, and we also feel the benefits on a motivation level, because you're unlocking your movement skill, and it's really, really empowering as you go forward, rather than just chasing an image of, you know, an avatar. What was it for you? Elaborate on that a little bit. What do you think it was that made you, on a more personal level, so much more consistent with your training?
It's a number of things. I really like the approach that you guys do. I was really intimidated when I first spoke with Rad and watched like all of the content. I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And I'm like, okay, I'll sign up for the 30 days, see how we go. And you didn't, you know, have that typical trainers, I'm gonna smash you kind of attitude, because I've had really poor experiences with personal trainers before. Very guilt trippy, the industry. You guys were just like, oh look, we'll take care of you. And I think the structure as well, and just placing trust in the program and just following it really, really helped. And I could see the progression. And I wasn't lifting heavy weights or doing anything or doing handstands straight away. It was months before I started doing anything remotely advanced. So I really appreciated that. I think it's the mindset behind it. It's not about, oh, I'm gonna punish you. Which is really quite, I'm gonna punish you, I'm gonna smash you. You guys are not about that, so I really, really appreciated that. I think the education component of training here is really valuable. If you go to a typical gym, like, they don't teach you why this movement is important or why you should be lifting these weights. They just kind of, okay, you're just going to do this or whatever, or not even tell you. They just tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Whereas you guys actually explain, I guess, the science behind it. And I think you guys know what you're talking about. And
Hope so, a little bit.
yeah, just a little. You can't even stop you from talking about it.
That's right.
Yeah, so I think the education component is really important, because we don't grow up learning about how the human body works, really. And unfortunately, the industry takes advantage of that. It doesn't really help the issues that we're already having, with body image and the food that we eat. Over here, there's a reason behind everything, and I think it just becomes all messed up. Like,
well, something that came up in an earlier episode this week, and if you didn't catch it, you can watch the Wednesday's episode with Ben Pekulski, the retired pro bodybuilder. The industry in a whole, and the penny dropped for me, is dysfunctional. Because they're all chasing aesthetically driven goals, and to train for aesthetics is a dysfunctional way of exercising, because it actually detrains the body in most cases. And this is like, I'm going to get even louder and louder at this now, I think. Now,
well, those are the words of one of the most accomplished bodybuilders in the world.
In the world, that's exactly right.
So,
and that just hit for me. I was like, holy crap. Like, we've been harping on for a while about how dysfunctional the fitness industry is and how backward it is, driving these aesthetic-driven goals and tapping into people's insecurities about that and trying to make money off it. And, I'm the first to admit that I've been there, and I've chased aesthetics for many, many years, and I know what it feels like, and I know how sickening it becomes, both mentally and physically. My body hurt. I broke myself doing it, But to hear it from one of the top bodybuilders in the world, I was just like, oh, how refreshing is that, And you're putting it right there. Like, the industry as a whole is very, very dysfunctional, whether they care to admit it or not. Because the reality is that when you train for aesthetics, you're not training for function. You're training to hypertrophy muscle, or to bleed out as many calories as humanly possible, because you've got imbalances in your lifestyle elsewhere, and you're in there punishing yourself. you're in there punishing yourself, you know, and that's, you said it first thing, you know, trainers, they just want to punish you.
Yeah.
And it's wrong. It's really, really wrong, you know. Anyway.
I reckon there was something that, again, that came out of the discussion with Ben that I think is the worst part about that is that no one looks like anybody else. And so everyone's chasing a false image. The amount of times that you hear people say, oh, look, I just want to have an ass like this person, or, you know, I just want to get a chest like that person. And you're like, well, you know what? You're never going to, ever. You will never have a chest like that person. You'll never have an ass like that person because they're their own people. And you've got a completely different pelvic makeup and a completely different length of your spine and width of your shoulders and everything. And when you stop chasing those aesthetic goals, like if you look at the average member of Unity Gym that's been here for 12 months and that trains consistently and eats the way that we recommend, they all look great. They all got great looking physiques.
It just happens.
It just happens. No one's chasing it. But if you chase that you look at that same average member here, people are getting their first pull-ups, muscle-ups, handstands, learning how to do the splits, pancakes, back bridge, learning how to move, getting their spine going. They look amazing, but you look at the other person that looks amazing, that's all they chased. They can barely touch their toes, they've got pain all the time.
They tear a hammy when they go for a run.
That's right, there's no way they can do bodyweight pull-ups because all they've done is lat pull-downs.
If you remove them from the pigeonhole that they've put themselves in with the aesthetically styled training, they're completely vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't, you might look like an athlete, but you certainly don't perform like an athlete. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear you say that stuff, Sheila, because you know, I'm happy that you read the script that I gave you. That's the most important
This
thing.
is all staged.
That's right.
I get told what to say.
I totally hijacked your conversation too, but my brain
No,
was
it's
just
really
going
cool
a
because
million
it's
miles an
cool.
hour.
It's cool to see one of our valued members say that kind of stuff. Because I mean, I'd never heard you say that before, and I didn't know, you know, it's great. It's awesome.
So let's bring it back to you. How long have you been training with us for now?
15 months.
15 months.
Yeah.
So you've had your anniversary, first year.
Yeah.
And
what are some of your accomplishments? Some of your biggest accomplishments since you've been here?
Oh, where do I start? Well, first of all, I can actually squat fully. I couldn't squat when I first started here. I did my first.
And when you say that, you mean you couldn't even go down all the way?
Yeah.
And now you're doing barbell squats with full range of motion.
Yeah, and even just squatting down to the floor normally, I had very little to no mobility when I started. I didn't even know what mobility was. Yeah, and
neither do most of the trainers out there, don't worry.
Yeah.
There you go. And the fact that I can deadlift. I've exceeded my body weight for a while now. And like the barbell squats, and I did my first pull-up a few months ago. I can do push-ups. I never thought I could do push-ups, you know, like proper floor manly push-ups.
Manly push-ups, I love it.
So yesterday I actually did, like 3 sets of 10 push-ups.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah,
that's a huge achievement. You know, most people, push-ups are one of those exercises that everybody thinks are basic because and in the scheme of things they are. They're a very basic exercise, but they're not basic for somebody that's detrained. And everybody remembers them from school because we all did push-ups as part of PE class at school. So people come to the gym and they're, push-ups, I've done them before. But to do it with proper technique where your back stays straight and you engage your core and you go full range of motion, touch your chest, come back up.
And
really
your
hard.
elbows stay in,
Yeah.
and you're using your triceps. Yeah,
All
we're
these
pretty
things.
critical on our push-ups, folks, so we like to get them right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's awesome, Sheila.
Yeah.
Big achievement.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Really, really good. And how's all that, let's go deeper. How's all that made you feel? How's it affected your life? How's it affect, I mean, for the people out there, for the millions of women tuning in right now from all over the world, what benefit have you experienced from being able to do that?
A number of things. I think it's really changed the way I think. I can't speak for everyone, but generally, I've never been encouraged to be strong.
Yeah.
People around me, a lot of my friends ask me, why do you train? You don't need to train, like you're petite. You know, I think you look good. And I'm like, oh, thank you. It's a compliment, but because I've been training here, and you know, it's so much more than that for me. I realized just how messed up it is. It's like, actually, no, I like being strong. I like having muscles.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
yeah, and you know, we joke around a bit with my friends and like, oh yeah, you got guns now, and yeah, show us your abs. So yeah, I mean, I guess the self-esteem aspect is really good. The fact that I can do cool stuff that I never thought I would do. Like even doing a handstand is just a huge boost for me.
It's such a good feeling, isn't it?
Such a great feeling, and I was so scared of doing them. Richie remembers, like you could not, like I would resist a lot of the progressions because it freaked me out. But yeah, just getting to the level that I'm at, I never thought it was possible. So I think pushing, it's helped me push my limits, which is really great, you know, for confidence and everything. And I feel like I have more energy. I think having muscles gives you more energy.
Of course it
Oh
does.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to think that. It's you can take that to the bank.
And I feel good overall. Like my body feels good. I used to get a lot of lower back pain when I was a teenager, and that's from not having core strength. You know, so I suffered a lot from that actually, and I think a lot of girls do. It's pretty standard just to have lower back pain just from lifting like handbags and everything, but now like, I don't have to worry about that. Anything sore in that area is from deadlift. So it's a good kind of sore.
It's Friday's deadlift day today.
It's Daddy Day today.
That's right.
So it's
buddy.
So I just say to all the women out there, it's good to be strong, and you can be petite and strong.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid of building muscle.
Lifting.
Well, I think a lot of women are so afraid of building muscle because they look at the extreme, and they look at what these CrossFit women or the bodybuilders look like, and that is extreme, man. Like for people to look like that, like, you know,
it's not even realistic.
No, it's not. That. I mean, you can look at it's not. It's exactly right. It'd be like me saying, "Oh, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to look like a bodybuilder." Well, I lift a lot of weights. I work my ass off, and I don't look anything like a bodybuilder. You know, and the same thing's going to happen for women as well.
Me, every time opening my mouth, punishing the fitness industry, there's something else I do want to address here. One of the most common things that I saw, and I've been a personal trainer for 16 years, is that the majority of personal trainers are into bodybuilding. There's not that many personal trainers that are into movement, but there are some now. We're having a bit of a paradigm shift in the industry. And the problem with being a bodybuilder and a personal trainer is that you have a tendency, if you're not really well educated, to train people the way you'd like to train, which is bodybuilding. And I've seen it time and time again. And some of the people that are in my network of my professional network, they just train people and write programs the way that they would train and write programs because that's what they specialize in. But that means that every single client that walks through the door is trained like a bodybuilder. And so there is a problem with women bulking up. If you train a woman like a bodybuilder, she's going to bulk up, you know. And it's just one of those things. You just sort of go, oh, it's a hit your head, palm face moment, you know. But when you train for movement, it's about perfecting your abilities and your movement. And bulky muscle often gets in the way of that, especially when you're doing calisthenics. When you got to throw your body weight around, every kilo or every gram makes a difference, you know. So your body becomes very, very functional with the least amount of resistance, which is, it's just another good reason to approach your exercise from a slightly different angle and go, okay, look, I'm not just here trying to build my body, I'm trying to, you know, unlock my body, unleash my body to some degree, really, you know.
Sure.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, one of the things that Sheila tipped on at the start of this conversation is an area that I'd like to go deeper on as far as our little bit on mindset hacking today, which is one of the reasons why we really evolved our program over the last 5 years to including a lot of calisthenics and a lot of gymnastics, mobility and strength training to create a skill component is that it is heavily rewarding and motivating. Now, one of the things that I've noticed on a personal level is that a lot of my friends and colleagues who used to be in amazing shape, like cover model shape, have lost the will to exercise to that level, and they haven't found something else to re-engage them in their physical practice, and they've gained a lot of weight and really slid. Their health has taken a nosedive. When you introduce things like family, more responsibility around your career changes, things like that. As you get old, and just the concept of getting older and your testosterone, you mentioned just before that you feel like you've got a lot more energy. Well, the reason for that is that when you've got a robust metabolism that's governed by the muscle in your body, you're producing a lot more hormones that raise your energy level, like testosterone and things like that, you know. But as you age, all of that starts to decline, particularly if you stop exercising. Now, that's another reason why a lot of people who were in great shape really tumble off that or slide as we get older. Now, what Rad and I have found is that introducing the skill component into the program creates a new level of motivation and reward, because there's the element of progression, constant continued progression. And you talked about it yourself. When you first started, you started at a very base level, and it wasn't until you were like 6 months in that you were doing the more advanced movements, because we have such a progressive line to our Foundation Movement System program. This is a brilliant mindset hack that that people need to understand. Aesthetically driven goals, and we've said this a lot on our podcasts and our blogs, is okay to get you started. Sometimes it's the thing that gets you through the door to join a gym. But long term, the drive to look amazing and to have chiseled abs, it gets less and less and less as you get older, and it becomes less and less rewarding. Would you agree?
100%. And again, one of the most accomplished bodybuilders in the world, confirmed it for us yesterday.
Yeah.
He said he climbed to the top, the pinnacle, where you just couldn't get more aesthetically driven, more aesthetically pleasing, and you just couldn't get higher than he got, and he just felt empty.
Yeah.
And just felt like, well, where do I go from here? And since he's stopped that pursuit, he feels happier than he ever has before. So, anyone that's chasing that pursuit, we had a talk with a person that's at the top, and yeah, the jury's in.
Yeah. And how do you feel? I mean, do you find that the Foundation Movement System creates an element of we know that it does from a scientific standpoint, because at the end of the day, human beings are geared, we're programmed to crave the dopamine that we get, which is the reward hormone, when we do something that we feel a sense of satisfaction for. And the best way to tap into that, that's healthy, that's not hijacking it through drugs and alcohol, is progression in life, whether it's through your career, your physical practice, your financial goals. That sense of progress taps into or releases the trigger of dopamine, which it wires us to feel rewarded, and we keep going with it. If you're not making progress, you tend to stop doing something. How do you feel? How do you feel about that? Do you find that works for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been setting goals that I never intended to set. Like doing a pull-up was never on my radar.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was like, oh, that's something that guys will do, like in my mind. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be forever before I do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, progressing to the level that I'm in, I'm starting to think, oh, what else can I do? Or how long will it be before I can do like a 30-second handstand? Or how heavy can I go? Like I watch Kalisha, lifting really heavy weights, and I'm like, oh yeah, she's petite like me.
Yeah.
She can do it. So it makes me I guess explore more possibilities, because I've experienced that reward over time training here.
Yeah.
And achieving like goals and setting new goals that I never thought I would achieve. So like even just doing the push-ups was such a big deal for me, because I could never do them before in the past, and and even like deadlifts, like they're a huge self-esteem boost for me. Because that never appealed to me in the past. Lifting like doing deadlifts. So now it just makes me go, oh, what else is possible? It's the way I think about it. It's not so much, oh yeah, I have to do this, I have to lift heavier. It's not the pressure. It's more, okay, I've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
What else can I do? Like, what else can I explore? So there's this like realm of possibility now.
Yeah.
But that's it, and that's why that's what Yanni's saying about why it's so motivating, because there is no end to the pursuit of movement. You never will get to the point where okay, I've done it all, there's nothing left for me on board. There's always somewhere further to go. And that's what was so amazing and inspirational for me about meeting Ido Portal, someone of his ability, and he's constantly exploring new things, and his whole a big message that he drives is to always have the beginner's mindset, where you seek out the things that you're a beginner at, because that's where the greatest room for growth is. And that's exactly why the aesthetically driven goals are so rubbish, because you can, if you actually really apply yourself, you can hit them so quickly.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, for how long we live for, anyone can turn their life around and look like a completely different person within 6 to 12 months. Even people that are really, really out of shape, within 12 months, if you really applied yourself, and we've seen this so many times, with the right formula, we've seen it so many times before, where people go from this really overweight, out of shape person to an aesthetically pleasing body, and then they just fall straight back to it.
Yeah,
because
I've seen it too.
you see it on TV, in these reality TV shows all the time, because once you get there, and if that was the only drive for you to train, where you hit it and you're like, well, what's the point in training anymore? Like, I've got no motivation to do this anymore. And then
what makes it worse is that the very precipice, like the action of getting there, is very uncomfortable, and it's very hard. And most of the time, it's driven by impatience.
Yeah.
You want it as fast as you possibly can, because you don't enjoy going to the gym and belting yourself to pieces every day or every other day. And so when you get there, you go, well, fuck that. And the thing is, guys, and what people don't realise, and there's a lot of research done on this, it takes about 7 years for your body to actually normalise both the hormone levels, the leptin, the ghrelin, the feeling of satisfaction around food. It takes a long time for your body to say, okay, this is now my norm, this is my new healthy body composition. And so whatever you do to get there, you have to maintain for years. So the very concept of a fast-paced transformation, short transformation for someone, is ridiculous in itself, in nature, because most people can't keep that up for years and years and years, which is exactly why people on The Biggest Loser always rebound. Not one person has ever maintained the weight, the body composition that they do when they get there. They damage their metabolism, their body doesn't have enough time to sort of adjust to it, and it's ruthlessly hard to maintain. So they always rebound. So the whole system is so backward, and it just, fuck, I could go on all day about it, I won't.
We're going to have to bring this in for a little bit.
Very quickly, do we have anyone that we want to talk to or address from the group today?
No, we'll do that on Monday when we don't have a guest.
Okay.
We'll spend the whole session doing that.
All right, cool. Sorry, everyone, for promising that I was going to talk to you from the Movement Mastermind.
No, that's all right. We're not always going to have guests on our show, so when we do, we'll enjoy the time with our guests, and when we don't, we'll delve into the questions.
Absolutely. So post all your questions in the group, and we will get to them. And if there's anything really urgent, we'll answer you straight away on the Facebook group. Other than that, how are we doing for time, Richie? What's the time?
9:20.
Ooh, we're over time. We're trying to get these in 30 minutes. So thank you so much, Sheila, for sharing your story.
It's awesome. It's great
Thanks
to have
for
you.
having me.
Oh my
you're
God,
welcome.
you're welcome. Anytime. And let's just keep crushing it. 2019 is going to be a big year. We've got lots of movement goals. I do, Sheila does, Rad does, Kalisha does, Richie does. And if you haven't, guys, pen your goals down. I think it's about 40 to 60%. It's one of those numbers, I forget the actual number, are more likely to achieve your goals if you're writing them down regularly, so get it done. Anyway, until Monday, have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We love and appreciate you all, and we will see you next week. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.